It's funny actually. I've told you about my like love, adventure, wealth acronym, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For the listeners, I'll give the brief overview. This is something an acronym that came to me on my um I'll call it my like cliche Europe changed my life solo trip at like age 19,
It does, baby.
and it really does. It really did. Simultaneously kind of like stumbled upon the law of attraction, manifestation, you know how it goes. And I think probably the law of attraction is what led me to this literal acronym. It's so funny that it spells out law, but it's law, it's love, adventure, wealth, and it's a pyramid. And so, like, the base is love, that's the foundation. Actually, no. I'm telling it wrong. That I've let go of it. This is why. The top is love. That's a pyramid in and of itself. Right below that is adventure. That fuels love, and then right below that is wealth, and that fuels adventure. And to my like 19-year-old brain, I was like, I have cracked the Da Vinci Code, and
Yep.
life is
Yep.
simple from here on out. If it doesn't fall within those three pillars, it don't matter. You know. Yeah, and so now I've kind of in the past few years, what happened, and this ties in with what we were just talking about, is I had all those things and something was still missing. That something is still up for debate. I've landed on a few different things, but as I see it now, starts with presence, which leads to peace, which leads to joy, which leads to bliss. And so like I kind of landed on like what I'm truly seeking is bliss and freedom. The freedom, I suppose, to experience bliss, if you will. And so I've kind of passively been shedding that acronym, but I've still used it in my journaling. Like at the start of each month, I do in my intentions, like my intention for each of those segments, plus a few others that I've kind of gathered throughout the years. And then last night, I did my April intentions, and without even realizing it, I dropped the love, adventure, wealth. Like, I dropped the categories, I dropped the buckets, and that shit felt freeing. I wrote it, and then I was like, this is going a bit too smoothly. And then I realized, and my mind for a second was like, you idiot. You worthless scum. Because I've literally, for now, like the whole last year of my journal, the same astrological journal, did that every month. Every month. And then for the first 3 months of this year, did the same. And so I was like, my like OCD pattern, like consistency. I was like, oh
Yep.
no, like what will become of me for breaking this rule that I have set for myself?
I set for myself eons ago.
Yeah, quite literally when I was 19 and like probably mostly drunk. Um And so there was a second where I was like, how do I fix this? Like, do I just do it anyway? And then I was like, no, like, this is not an accident. And so I kept going. I dropped the buckets, and then that kind of became the topic of the journal is like, how much room for freedom and bliss is there in a calendar that's scheduled from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. with color coded tasks? You know, like, can you really schedule in bliss? Don't look at me like that.
13,000 miles away from you.
I know, I know, I know. I'm,
I'm just looking.
yeah, yeah, I know, I'm joking. But
Yeah.
it
No, but
it
I was
was
looking
like
at you.
a, I know, I know. It was like a, it was a weight that was dropped that I like maybe didn't even realize I was carrying. I think I knew, but it was something that like sure, for now, while I am living in all these worlds, I do still need the calendar genuinely so that I like remember to go to meetings. You know, it's as simple as that. But when I'm journaling, like that's for me. And I can draw that line. Like I had let, without even noticing, the OCD that may or may not, I mean, it definitely does help me. It definitely does also hurt me, but like is partially necessary in my current work world. I let that creep in gradually into like my personal world too until there was no distinction, which is hilarious because that's exactly what I'm trying to do in the reverse. I'm trying to have work become play, not the other way around. Um, and so that was very liberating. And what better month than Aries? It's the first sign in the zodiac. Let's start
Many would
fresh.
say the absolute best sign in the zodiac.
Many Aries would say that.
I think many in general would agree, but unfortunately, we don't have many to sample here. So, survey says
we'll,
yes, best.
we'll run a poll after this.
I'll call all my Aries friends.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, yeah, yeah, and you're coming up on your Saturn return.
People keep saying this to me, and
Uh-huh.
believe me, I've gone down the rabbit holes.
Uh-huh.
When you just know it's not your time yet to go down one?
Yeah, no, well, because you're
It's,
already in it. That's
yeah.
the thing. So you don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't need to read like your life will be thrown upside down. Like I probably know what I'm gonna read.
Well, here's the thing, K Dog. Um, I'm about to drop some truth when I on the
Drop
K
some
Dog.
truths. I'm ready.
Uh, but you're already doing it. And
Yeah.
again, in this moment, you're doing it with grace and like groundedness and self-love and compassion, right? You probably will falter in that and go a little nuts at points in the next few
Yeah.
years. That's part of the process. Um, but right now, your ability to like so clearly see the fact that you're like, yeah, I'm in this life that I had built and that I needed to build to kind of prove to myself that I could build it because this is what I thought I wanted. And I've recognized it's no longer what I want. So I'm allowing myself to like make those changes. I don't need that to happen immediately because it's not a fear based cut and run thing. It's a love based, no, I'm moving into this, but I'm going to spend this like victory lap year reveling
Yeah.
in what I have built
Victory
while
lap. I like
recognizing, yeah,
that.
it's honestly, it's what I just did this last year. I
Yeah.
knew that that chapter was done when I was back in the States last January, February, March. I was like, cool, this is done. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
grief. Mm, I don't want to compare our emotional states, but I think in general, I am potentially more prone to melancholy than you might be, or the depth of my melancholy might be. Yeah, like, but for me, there was a lot of grief in that as well, right? And so I guess just
Mhm.
vocalizing that for you in this next year too, where it's like it
Yeah.
can be so beautiful to sit in something and recognize that you're so happy that it exists and that you're so grateful for it and that it's also time for it to end. Like there's sadness in that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
sadness in that. Yeah, but even that for you is part of this like just upheaval, right? Because a Saturn return doesn't need to be, you know, the way that some of us, yours truly, did it, where it's just like that kind of burn it all to the ground and, just like, I can't do this anymore, here I go. It can be just like, okay, no, like things need to change and they don't need to change a little bit. It's not like I need to get a new job or like maybe if I got a different apartment or I should get a dog or the, classic have a baby. Like,
Oh fuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Um, it can be a complete overhaul of everything. And that can be intentional, gentle, loving, and yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.